Hello and welcome to the 5 p.m. lockdown beers and rugby chat. And sorry, folks, running a bit late there. Let's see, back in the main studio. Need to just straighten up that camera and stuff. But it's already 5 o'clock. Stephen, I should be cracking open my beer, shouldn't I?
You should, mate. I'll count down with you. 5, 4.
Well, it's too late now. It's past 5 o'clock.
3, 2, 1. Oh my God! It's a Waikato. Oh my God!
Let's go quick.
Well, I'm having go quick, really quick. I'm having a lockdown coffee.
Oh, good on you.
Very frothy on the top, as you can.
Yeah, just like mine.
As you can see, everybody.
Oh dear. So yes, folks, the final day of level 4 lockdown for the 09. So well done, 09, for getting yourselves to this stage. And please, folks, as we go into level 3, please follow the rules that have been set out so we can get you guys down to level 2 and get you some more rugby and that kind of stuff going on. So yes, well done, 09. Oh dear me, Stephen, how's your last day of level 4 been?
Oh, pretty good, I've got to say. Really enjoyable day. It was good to actually have the wife around today, so a little bit of extra company as well, and not a bad sort of day up here in 09.
And do you have a specific takeout ready for you'll be queuing up for at midnight?
Oh, probably not. I'll just see how I feel and where I am, and if I'm in the zone, I certainly won't be jumping in my car to queue up once McDonald's opens up at midnight. That's for real. I'll leave those to the people who really need it.
Desperate, yes. I did see someone saying that actually they should that they should be walking down the queues at the various drive-throughs and vaccinating people as they're waiting.
Great idea. 2 in 1.
Exactly. There you go. So, folks, what's been going on? Well, Stephen didn't join me yesterday, so we can probably go through some of the stuff that we talked about yesterday anyway, because it's been a very quiet news day today. But we'll touch on the Vancouver Sevens, Pat Lam, and also Dwayne Vermeulen as well. Hey, LB, good to see you in the live chat, as well as Simon as well. Don't forget, folks, 5 p.m. every day. We'll keep doing it during level 3 as well, I think, for Auckland, because let's be honest, there's not a big difference. I mean, basically, takeouts is the big difference for that, so we will keep going during level 3 as well. So yes, have you seen Pat Lam has re-signed for Bristol Bears for 5 years? I mean, wow, that's a big coaching contract, isn't it?
It is, and I would imagine there's probably a little bit of money behind that as well. I think the great thing for Bristol,
yeah, he would have. Maybe it's my beer all over my laptop if you keep a little bit of money. Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. In the big scheme of things, the great thing about it, though, I think it's a great signing because I think he's probably nurtured a lot of really good relationships, Paul, over the years. Obviously, not just as a player, but also a coach down at this neck of the woods. So I'm pretty sure with those contacts, he'll be able to, if need be, if Bristol ever need to go to the market, he'll have some contacts.
He will, but having already got Charles Piatow and Soham Radradra, I think his contacts are absolutely fine so far. They haven't actually won the Premiership yet. Did they win it 2 years ago? I can't try. I think now. I know Harlequins won it last year. No, I won it 2 years ago. Look, he's doing a very good job there. Not surprised. A bit surprised by the length, to be honest. You don't see very many 5-year contracts in rugby, full stop. So, yeah, that's the only surprise. Is kind of how long it is.
Well, listen, he won't be lacking any sort of mates up there or former All Blacks, because Tim Matson obviously just taken over Harlequins as well, and he got off to a pretty good start on the weekend first up, so he'll be a happy camper. Although Pat just signed that 5-year deal, I don't think he'd be too pleased about the result to the Sarries on the weekend.
Yeah, no, Saracens, as you say, back and into it. I'm not a big fan of their jerseys, mind you, with that funny line up the middle of the front. Looks a bit strange to me, but there you go. But yeah, they're back and they're back in their winning ways straight away, unsurprisingly. And they'll be one of the teams to beat.
Yeah. Paul Paul, I reckon Harlequins was built around 4 guys getting together, and they couldn't make up mind which colour jersey they wanted to come up with. And I reckon that's how they came up with the colour pattern.
It is one of my favourite jerseys, I must say, in rugby. And I do like the fact that I do like that Southland this year have got a quartered jersey. It's not really a Harlequin jersey, but it's a quartered jersey as their training top. I really do like that jersey they've got doing there. And they're doing some great things in Southland with their training jerseys, I must say. Because I forgot what it was. They had a fantastic training jersey last year as well. So yeah, I say doing good work down there. Dwayne Vermeulen signing for Ulster. You think that's obviously a big name signing for Ulster? They obviously want another big South African in their back row again. But he was one of the players that came back and had played for the Bulls. So a little bit surprised to see him heading overseas again.
Yeah, a couple of things come into play here. Maybe they brought him back this year just looking for some extra experience, because he's been a hard hole to fill. He's 35 years old as well, and maybe the thought process was, listen, we could have used you last year, but because of COVID, we didn't. We'll use you this year, but gee whiz, next year you're 36 years old. It might be an opportunity to actually play somebody else. So good to have his experience, but I don't think in these 2 tests we've seen thus far against Australia that he's had the impact we all thought he would have.
Yeah, look, I mean, to be fair to me, he's coming back from injury. These are his first 2 games back. So it's not not surprising he's taking a little while to get back up to speed. I mean, there is the question mark: is that is he now? Has age caught up with him? We'll have to wait and see. But whether he can regain his level and whether he can get through to the next Rugby World Cup as well. And LB says, especially it's a bit surprising now that also that the Bulls have got a lot of cash as well with their investors, which we've seen the spending of the Bulls and also the Sharks in particular in South Africa. You wonder if it's going to cause a bit of a 2-tier competition over there. Obviously, we've not really covered it in lockdown beers, but some issues going on with the administration at Western Province / the Stormers, where they've been put under warning by Rugby South Africa, by South Africa Rugby, that they might even replace them with the Cheetahs in the United Rugby Championship, or what used to be the Pro 14. So some admin issues going on there, but I think look, as we've seen with the Kings in the past, it's not. These are kind of things that happen in South Africa on a regular basis, so it's not overly surprising, and I'm sure they'll get them sorted at some point. You've got to say. LB saying Pollard also coming back from injury, but he played during the Lions series, so he's had a few more games back than Dwayne Vermeulen, who's come straight back into that one. Simon says, serious concern also to keep signing South Africans etiquette for the. Look, I think there's some various how do I put this, cultural or religious reasons why some of the South African boys feel comfortable in Ulster with what's going on there, and the culture in that dressing room. And look, yes, they do have a couple of they have a history of South Africans coming through that club, or coming through that province. I think they've got a good number of Irish players in their part of it. LB says, the old boys club have ruined my club, Western Province, your province. The old boys club does seem to ruin quite a few rugby clubs, unfortunately. Rugby unions.
That is the only real concern for South African rugby, that if obviously if they do end up aligning themselves with the Northern Hemisphere, you can pretty much guarantee that there'll be maybe, how many provincial unions are over there, poor, really quality unions. If we think of the ones that were involved in Super Rugby, I just kind of wonder if all the cream will basically rise to the top, where you are dead right, where they may end up with just 2 or 3 real quality sides, and the other teams just get pushed to the side. there's been a little bit of talk, I know, from a lot of South African supporters that what's happened and what they've seen thus far this year and the style that the Springboks have played, there is a little bit of a fear that they might almost go into a Northern Hemisphere style of game, which can be a bit. It was a little bit harsh, because if you look at the Gallagher Premiership, some of the games, you see some really, really good games of footy there. You think back to even last year's final when Harlequins took out the title. Boy, that was one heck of a game. They came back from nowhere and won that game. A lot of running rugby, and I think it is slowly changing in the English game.
Yeah, look, the quality of rugby and the quality of pitches, which has been a big thing in the Premiership, has improved, and so you are seeing better rugby, I don't think that we'll see a negative effect on the South African playing style due to them playing more Northern Hemisphere. I mean, already you've got at least half of the Springbok squad playing overseas anyway, so it's not like it's all local-based players making up that squad. You got about half of them playing in European competitions and playing European style, as it were. I think that's a misplaced fear.
I think,
and we've seen some good rugby by the Lions in the past and by various African sides. So look, they can play it. It just comes down to what the coaching staff want to do.
Yeah, Paul, all you're really seeing is a style that probably sees where they do cradle the ball a little bit more and probably respect the ball, so the passes aren't going as wider or as quicker. They just really want that accuracy, especially when they go into contact. And sometimes that ball is going to be slow, so what you're viewing is going to be perceived as slow. But boy, if it's accurate, it can be very, very effective. And if you're holding onto the ball, as we know, for long periods, doesn't matter if you score your points in multiples of 3.
No, absolutely. And look, I think the main difference, and we've talked about, we've heard various Southern Hemisphere guys go over to Europe and go, look, the difference is we just spend more time on defence up here than we do necessarily than in Southern Hemisphere. Now, look, you've only got so many minutes of training each week. It doesn't matter if you're in New Zealand or in England. It's just in New Zealand, it's probably split something like 70-30 to the attack versus defence, or 60-40, whereas it's more 50-50 up in Europe. I think that's more about the style. Is how much time you spend on each facet, and then the intent when you do have the ball as to what you want to do with it. I mean, look, I've heard Wayne Smith say that he reckoned that basically after 3 phases, the chances of you being successful in getting points goes down. And so if you're playing rugby by a stats point of view, after 3 phases, you want to be either resetting the attack or kicking the ball away. So if you see sides that play 3 phases and kick every time, then that's the head coach that's using his stats, basically, because he knows that after 3 phases, the attacking structure tends to have broken down, and your chances of breaching a well-set defence is reduced, and your chances of turning the ball over is increased. So either you'll see a slow ruck, which lets the attack reset, or you'll see the ball kicked away. So look, and that's, I think people would say that Wayne Smith is one of the most kind of innovative and attacking coaches in world rugby in his time. So to call him a defensive coach and he says you should kick it away, you should reset after 3, I think you don't know your rugby that well. That's what happened. We'll just quickly touch on the Vancouver Sevens. I don't know, did you watch any of the Vancouver Sevens over the weekend, Stephen?
A little bit on and off, Paul, but I must admit I found it a little bit hard, especially with the not having the full quota. Obviously, a lot of the Oceania nations, Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, Samoa, all not present at this particular tournament. So, even after the first day, I thought to myself there were probably 2 or 3 teams that stood out in both the men's and women. I thought the likes of Canada stood out in the women's, and I thought South Africa would be incredibly hard to beat. And I only really saw the main challenges there, to be brutally honest, as the USA, and I thought it would come from out of one of those 3 teams.
Yeah, well, on the men's side, I mean, the USA got knocked out in the quarterfinals by Kenya. South Africa went on to win the tournament 38-5 in the final against Kenya. Great Britain beating Ireland in the third place playoff on the men's side. On the women's side, there were only only 4 teams in it, so I think they call it fast fourth. So Canada, Great Britain, Mexico, and United States. And look, Mexico, in their 3 games during the pool play, lost all 3, scored 0 points, and conceded 140. So clearly, Mexico were out of their depth in this one, unfortunately. So unsurprisingly, they came 4th in the fourth playoff after losing their semi-final. Unfortunately, not scoring a point in the whole tournament. Ouch. So good for them to keep going, to be honest with you, because I can see that can be very demoralising.
I was going to say, Paul, not a bad result for Ireland to finish up in 4th place in that tournament. Obviously beaten by Great Britain in the semi-finals, but there were times they played some pretty good code. What I saw over there, so hopefully they'll gain some confidence out of that.
Yeah, that's on the men's side. Absolutely, that was the third, fourth playoff. They lost to England, not semi-final, but either way. But yeah, so they'll take some confidence in that. On the women's side, Great Britain beat the USA 34-12 in the final. Canada took the bronze medal there. They all move on now to another place in Canada. I've gone blank to where it is.
Yes, that's they're off to Edmonton.
Edmonton, thank you for the second round of this one. And that's just they're the only 2 rounds that will be part of this HSBC World Sevens Series in its entirety. And then the 21-22 season will kick off in Dubai, where hopefully we'll have all of the all the teams back in attendance again. I saw a headline, I didn't read the full article about Fiji, but it says it was like they went into a 1-week training camp and ended up being away from their families for 3 months because of COVID. So you can understand why teams like Fiji and the All Black Sevens, both men's and women's, with the issues around getting MIQ spots and not necessarily be able to get back into the country again, never mind in time for Christmas, would be reasons that those teams wouldn't want to travel to these tournaments. So it's fully understandable as to why they haven't gone. But I think it's good that these tournaments are happening and that they're getting the series back up and running properly. Well, not properly, but back up and running at least, in the very least. So those are kind of only the real news stories today. It's been a bit quiet on the old news front. We've got the Driving Wall show at 8 p.m. this evening, where we'll have a look forward at the Rugby Championship. We'll also touch on the Women's Rugby World Cup qualifying over there in that one, and also look at the Fijian Drua. Stephen, are you joining us at the 8 o'clock one,
No, I think I'll be definitely free for that. Listen, just a few things that have sort of bobbed up today. A little bit of talk, obviously. Andre Pollard, who you mentioned before, just questioning a few things in and around perspective attacking systems from the Wallabies, and I think what he was suggesting that were players that were basically being taken out of the line, and I kind of looked at what he was talking about, but to me it just seemed really more about they were more second man plays than anything else, and just trying to confuse that particular defence, because we also know how really, really good the line speed of the South Africans is. But I've noticed that the Wallabies have been attacking just that a little bit deeper. But I think more than anything else, what's been catching them out is the inside ball, Paul.
Yeah, look, I talked about this with Shane yesterday and around Pollard's comments, and one of the things I pointed out at the time was there was a tweet yesterday that said, look, he's not actually talking about the Wallabies. What he's really talking about is referees, we want you to look at this when we're playing the All Blacks, please. Actually, this is a comment about the games looking forwards rather than looking backwards, because yes, the All Blacks are definitely known for treading the line of legality, not in a dangerous way, but as in but knowing where that line is around decoy runners, around players running back to protect a player catching the ball, all these kind of things. So. Yeah. these are all. So yeah, I think it's more a comment looking forwards than a comment looking backwards, to be honest.
Yeah. That other comment was just in and around, and something that was picked up by a very, very good Auckland club coach who I'm friends with, and he sent me a message. He said, "Well, the All Blacks have been doing this really, really well, and that's basically flooding that area in between the high kick." In between the high kick and the chasers, and of course you saw the Wallabies get caught. I think Matt Phillip was caught out by just changing his lane. Now the thing is, they can pretty much stand anywhere as long as they don't change their line, and that's pretty much the key at the end again. But once again, I don't think it's cheating. I just think it's a good strategy, Paul.
Well, hey, I've said before that rugby is just legalised cheating. That if you don't see it and you're not getting caught about, if you don't see it, then generally it's being done well, rather than that's any difference. Every team is cheating to a greater or lesser degree, and it's just a matter of do they get caught or not at the end of the day. And there are a few things there that, as you say, that are on the edge of whether it is actually cheating or not. So we'll see. And look, we know that we saw it in the Lions series just how good the Springboks can be at reclaiming their own kicks and contesting that kick. So it's clearly going to be a key part of the game going forwards in that one.
Yeah, probably just the only other thing that really caught me, I know you probably want to try and fill at least a half hour, was just some comments made by Laurie Mains. And as you said to me, these comments came out pre the Wallaby test, but I'm saying that they still disappoint me, regardless of when they were made. Now, basically for our viewers, Laurie Mains is pretty much come out like pretty much everybody has said, and pretty much slammed the Springbok style. And I'm really disappointed as a guy who, in his time when he was coaching the All Blacks, had plenty to say when somebody else actually had an opinion. Listen, and they're entitled to their opinion, Paul. No question whatsoever. But South Africa is one of those teams. I think no matter where they sit in the scheme of things, I think when they do play the All Blacks, I think it's an easy thing to get up for. Like I watched John Smith on the breakdown last night, and he said exactly that. He wasn't too fussed about Laurie Mains' comments like myself, but he said, listen, one thing about a South African team, we will bring energy. No question at all. And whether they can turn it around in 1 week is going to be the big question. But boy, at least with the values of rugby, I think you pay a team that you're playing, especially a team like the Springboks, you pay them a good deal of respect, or if you disrespect them, you do it at your peril. I'm pretty sure that sort of mentality is not happening within the All Black camp, but it's disappointing that a former All Black coach who, has knocked heads with the Springboks on a few occasions has come out with that sort of opinion.
Yeah, look, I mean, Josh Scott says, Mains was pretty harsh. The Springbok players are good. Can't see how they could win a World Cup with not very good players. Absolutely. There's Laurie Mains maybe still, and then LB says jealousy makes people nasty. Do you think Laurie Mains might have some hangovers from the 1995 Rugby World Cup by any chance? And that just when he can whenever he can put the boot in because he's upset still that he lost the Rugby World Cup. So yeah, look, he's one guy who's come out. The papers are like, okay, we know this is a guy that we can get in touch with to get a nice fiery headline, and they just wheel him out for these. And look, he's 75 now, obviously retired, and just hopefully he's enjoying his retirement, to be honest with you. I think it's just someone they get in touch with ahead of Springbok clashes because they know he'll give them a nice fiery headline, and it's nothing more than that, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, and LB just says it makes a good point. There's no respect being shown to the Springboks since they won the World Cup. As much as we've spoke about their game and tried to critique it, you did right. They're still the current world champions at the minute, and that should not be disrespected. And you only have to look at the reactions of those Wallaby players, their media. They've talked the Springboks up as the world champions, and in my eyes, they are the world champions. Sure, we got this series of the World Rugby point system, whatnot, but at the end of the day, I think Ian Foster's summed it up really, really well. He goes, I don't really care about that. I just want to beat the Springboks.
Well, I think as he said, look, world number one means nothing if you don't beat the Springboks at the end of the day, because look, they are world champions, and if you haven't beaten them, then you can have the ranking, but at the end of the day, you haven't beaten the other best team in the world. So there you go. So and look, it's from a Southern Hemisphere point of view. I think this has been totally glossed over because we're playing each other, but I think it's something that will come out in the wash during November. But the Rugby Championship now has got the number 1, 2, and 3 ranked teams in the world. All right, it's been a few years since we've had that down here.
Wow, good. You train spotter, you.
But again, look, we've been. There used to be a conversation about the big north-south divide and all that kind of stuff, and how the best teams were down here. And basically, yeah, you can play the Six Nations, which is a fantastic tournament. I love it. I'm English, and I love it. But at the end of the day, they aren't the best teams in the world, and they tend to lose in November. Was what used to happen about, say, 6 years ago. So having the top 3 ranked teams in the world again down here has got to be a good thing for the Rugby Championship and for the marketing of that as well, because obviously, look, the 3 Rugby Championships, well, the 4 including Argentina, need the cash.
And Paul, just something for All Black and Wallaby supporters to think about. John Smith, who was on Breakdown last night, was just absolutely brilliant, but he made a very, very good point about the South African team. He said, listen, pre-Lions tour, these guys went into their own bubble, and they've basically been in that bubble without seeing family since pretty much the beginning of that particular series. So, mentally, I don't know what sort of effect it would be having on the players, but I'm pretty sure, Paul, when you're not always in familiar surroundings, I think mentally it would be very, very tough. If you have got children, other loved ones that you haven't seen for a while, and that I respect them for that. I remember the journey that the Crusaders did when the earthquakes were around several years ago, and they pretty much travelled the world. And I know, talking to a couple of players, they said that was the hardest thing, just constantly being away from familiar surroundings. It's one thing to sort of jump on a plane and shoot away and play 5 tests for a month, but then you come back after that 5 weeks. When you think about what the journey the Springboks have been through, wow, what are we in now? September now, and that Lions series started in, was it July?
Yeah, so they've been someone said last week it was 12 weeks, so it's heading towards 13 weeks.
Wow.
They've got another 2 now, obviously as part of the Rugby Championship, and then they've also got the November tests to come. So will they be able to pop home and see Farnell between? I don't know, yes, it is it's a very long time, and you can understand why they are looking tired now and emotionally drained. It has been as LB says, the bubble for Argentina, it's been even worse. Absolutely, they've played in Georgia and Wales before going down to South Africa to play in that one, to play their games of the Rugby Championship. So they've also had a very long time away, very different from last year. And LB said, yeah, look, the All Blacks nearly pulled out of this tournament. Absolutely, they did. And there was no way that the New Zealand Rugby Players Association would allow New Zealand Rugby to take their players away for 4 months like this. But let's be blunt.
Yeah, don't get us started on that story, Paul. We might need another. we might need another half hour. But like LB said, the respect is mutual. That's the way it should be. Well, sometimes we get a bit annoyed at each other's set of supporters on the social network, but at the end of the day, it's just a game.
Thank you for the reminder that that Argentina played Romania, not Georgia. Thank you, Simon, for corrections corner there. So LB says it's the 4th of June since the Box have been in a bubble. I can say that, which is it's nuts. So that's July, August, September. We're heading towards October, aren't we? So 3.5 months. All of it. It's a long time, folks. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and I'm moaning about 5 weeks in lockdown.
Well, yes, and yes, yeah. And Auckland's losing its mind over not being able to have KFC for 5 weeks. How about first world problems, folks? Sense of perspective, maybe. So look, we'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. And also Thursday and Friday. Saturday, I will probably not do the 5 p.m. lockdown beers because I'm planning to be at Bay of Plenty versus Wellington in the Farah Palmer Cup. And on Sunday, again, we will not have a lockdown beers that day because I'm likely to be at Bay of Plenty versus Taranaki in the NPC. So look out for post-match interviews on both of those games. Also, we'll be looking at doing post-match reactions to both the Wallabies versus the Pumas and the All Blacks versus the Springboks on Saturday night as well. So do join us for those. Stephen, you have got 2.5 hours to go grab some dinner. And catch you at 8 o'clock for the Driving More show, folks. So thank you everybody for joining in the live chat. Thank you everyone who has been doing it right in 09 during lockdown. Please keep to the rules during level 3 as well. And hopefully we'll have you back down to level 2 and level 1 in the not too distant future. And thank you everybody. Have a great evening.